Hello and welcome to this session in which we would look at the 8 components of a system of quality management. In the prior session, we looked at the system of quality management. What is it? What is its purpose? In this session, we would look underneath the hood. We would look at the various pieces that constitute, that form this system. Now, audit quality does not happen by accident. It's the result of a structured design. It's a system that's designed to make sure that engagement are performed consistently, ethically, and in compliance with the professional standards. And that's the case that we made the prior session. The system of quality management is built on 8 interrelated components. Think of we're looking at the architect of the system. And those, they work together. They're integrated to promote what we need to do. Consistent engagement, quality, and compliance with professional standards. So here we're looking under the hood. We're looking at the internal pieces. We're looking at the internal plumbing of the audit firm itself. We're looking at what constitutes the system, this quality system for that CPA firm. And there are 8 components. The first one is the firm risk assessment process, governance and leadership. 3, relevant ethical requirement. 4, acceptance and continuation of client relationship and specific engagement. 5, engagement performance. 6, resources, talking about people here as well. 7, information and communication. 8 is monitoring and remediation process. Those components, as I mentioned, work together. They're not independent. They're integrated. This is an integrated framework. So if one weakness in one component, it will affect the whole system. It's a system, so each influence and support the other. A weakness in one area, for example, if you don't have competent people like resources to perform the audit, everything else will affect it. It can compare the effectiveness of the entire system. Now, if you know anything about Farhat lectures, you know that once I have a list of items, what do? I would look at each item separately. Now, in this session, we will focus on only 4 items. I would look at firm's risk assessment process, governance and leadership, relevant ethical requirement, and acceptance and continuation of client. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we proceed any further, I have a public announcement about my company, FarhatLectures.com. Most students and CPA candidates struggle not because audit is too hard, but because it's taught fast and the logic behind the procedure isn't explained clearly. Then everything feels disconnected. At Farhat Lectures, we break audit down step by step. We explain the why behind the standards, the logic behind the assertions, risks, procedures, evidence, so the whole process finally clicks. When the concepts connect, audit becomes clear and manageable. You stop memorizing and start understanding. Ready for auditing to make sense? Start your free trial at farhatlectures.com. Let's start by the firm risk assessment process. We would look at an overview of it first, and this is one of 8 components. We're going to look first at the purpose of this risk assessment. Now, here's what I want you to know or understand or think about. In audit, we do risk assessment. We do risk assessment of the client, of the potential clients. What we're doing here is risk assessment of the audit firm itself. We're looking in the mirror. We're looking at ourselves, at our internal process. A system of quality management requires the firms to design and implement an assessment process, risk assessment process. And why do we do this? We do this to identify and respond to risk that might do what? Prevent our firm from achieving its quality objective. What are these quality objectives? Making sure we're collecting enough sufficient appropriate evidence, we're doing a good job before we're issuing the report. This process is risk-based, so the system must be responsive to the nature and circumstances of the firm and adaptable to the type of engagement performed. So what we do in this system, we look at the firm itself overall, and each engagement will have different type of risk, and we have to adapt this to the type of the engagement that we are working with. So, and what we do is we emphasize a proactive approach, a risk-based approach, emphasizing anticipating risk before deficiency happens, before we find out there's something wrong.
What will be an example of this? Think about a firm that began to audit cryptocurrency companies. What do? They will have to reassess the quality risk, which we'll talk about the quality risk in a moment, due to the increased complexity and regulatory uncertainty. So if you're taking on a new engagement, type of engagement, you're auditing cryptocurrency, you have a new type of risk. It's a new engagement, a new type of risk. Are you ready to take on that risk? So what we have to do is we have to establish what is our quality objectives. What do we want to achieve in terms of quality? Well, it's our desired outcome of the firm system. So what's our objective? Our objective is to make sure we're doing a good job in alignment with the professional standard and regulatory environment. I would say that's the minimum. The minimum is doing our job as per professional standard. So it's the firm responsibility to establish those objectives that support consistent compliance with the standard, because that's our objective, and promote appropriate engagement and reporting, performance and reporting, because at the end of the day, we are going to issue a report. So the firm establishes a quality objective requiring all audit engagement, include documented partner review of significant accounting estimate before we issue a report. What does that mean? It means our quality objective is to make sure our report is issued and it's in good shape. It's being reviewed properly. What can we do what type of quality standard we can undertake? Guess what? We will have a partner review all significant estimate. Why estimates? Because estimates are subject to judgment. Therefore, we did the work, let somebody else review the work before we kind of double checking. This is what we're doing here. This is part of the quality. And just for the CPA exam, you have to understand that quality objectives drives the identification of risk and the design of the response. First, you want to say, what do I want to do? What's my objective? Identify the risk that hinder that objective, then design the response to deal with that objective. So you have to identify and assess quality risk. What's quality risk? It's what could hinder our goal. What could hinder our objective? What is our objective? To comply with professional standard and regulatory reporting requirement and issue the report. Issue the appropriate report. That's our objective. So what type of issues, what type of obstacles we could face? This is what we're looking at. A quality risk is the possibility that an event or a condition prevent the achievement of the quality objective. And we're going to look at two categories of consideration. We're going to look at firm level consideration. The firm itself, there's some problem with the firm that's going to hinder our objective. Like what? Size and structure of the firm. How big, how small the firm, and how is it structured? The complexity of the operation. Is there a lot of lines of communication that's not clear? The leadership style and culture. Do we have support from the leadership? Do we have resources, money, people, technology? Applicable laws and professional standards. Do we know how to apply those laws and professional standards? Those considerations are firm level. Then we look at the engagement level, but because not all engagement are different. So when we're determining the quality of the risk, what type of engagement are we performing here? What industries are we serving? Is it a crypto or is it retail engagement? Because crypto is much more complicated than auditing a retail company. A retail company, they'll have inventory. We can see it, we can touch it. How about crypto? We have to value the crypto. It's not as easy. Risk characteristic of the client. Each client will have a different risk characteristic, and that relate to the engagement itself. So for example, rapidly growing firms may hire, for example, 40 new staff members to complete 5 newly acquired clients in the crypto business. Okay, what's the problem here? The problem is the firm is increasing quickly, 40 new staff members. And we acquired 5 new clients in the crypto business. We're not comfortable with the crypto business. It's a new business. So we have an engagement level consideration. We have a firm level consideration. What's the risk here? The quality of the risk, what it arises here is we don't have enough supervisors to supervise those 40 new members. And we don't have enough knowledge in the industry, which could lead to inconsistent audit documentation or poor evidence collection strategies. Now, once we identify the risk, we have to design and implement responses to those quality risks. So the purpose is we need to neutralize the risk. Once you identify the risk, that's great. the quality of the risk, that's great. What are you doing to neutralize it? What are you doing to make that risk acceptable? Let's put it that way. Once quality risks are identified, the firm must design and implement appropriate responses to address them. What do you think will be appropriate responses? I would say the first thing is, do we have policies and procedures that deals with that risk? If not, we need to establish or revise what we have. Do we have enough people who are trained? If not, we need to enhance the training. Do we have enough supervisors and expert people to review the work? If not, we need to figure this one out. We need to implement new monitoring control. Do we have enough monitoring control to make sure we're doing a good job? Example will be to address the risk of inconsistent documentation. The firm would implement mandatory documentation template. Guess what? You have to use those templates, and this is what you need. A, B, C. Require manager to review before work papers are finalized. That's it. We don't issue a report unless everything is reviewed. So the CPA exam here will make sure you can connect the quality objective. What's my objective? Complying with the standard. What quality risk am I dealing with, and what type of response am I implementing? Now, I gave you one example. It could be in other circumstances as well. The good thing about the CPA exam when it comes to this topic, they test you on the basic understanding level. So that's the good thing. The second component, and we're not going to spend as much on the other component as much as the first one, but we have to cover them all. The second component is governance and leadership. This is the tone at the top. Think of this as the brain of the company, the foundation of quality management. I mean, I should have started with governance and leadership because it's the tone at the top, but it doesn't matter. It's something you should be familiar with when it comes to internal control, the tone at the top. So a strong system of quality management begin with effective governance and leadership. The people on the top are important because they establish the tone, which influence everybody else. As an employee, as a staff, as a senior, you are going to follow your manager's direction, and the manager will follow the partner's direction. So if the partners are unethical, well, the managers will be unethical and the staff will act in an ethical manner. So it's important to start on the top because it influences the whole ethical climate of the company and commitment to quality throughout the organization. So the quality must be embedded within the firm value, decision-making process, and performance expectation. Why? Because as a company, we have a commitment to the public interest. Audit firms, we serve the public. It's CPA, Certified Public Accountant. So we are accountable to the public. So the leadership must emphasize professional ethics, integrity, objectivity, compliance with the standard over commercial substance. So a firm leadership declined to accelerate audit deadlines. When doing so would compromise audit review procedures. It reinforces that audit quality takes priority over client convenience. So if the partner is telling you, you just do your work, take your time, no rushing, we just have to do the work properly, we don't care if the client doesn't like it, we're putting more weight on doing a good job rather than keeping the client happy. This sends a positive message versus the opposite. Let's get done with the work because we want to keep the client. They're happy if we issue the report early. So again, the tone at the top will drive everything else. So the leadership is important. Leadership and the structure of the company, the organizational structure. So the firm leadership, the people at the top, are responsible for the design, implementation, and operation of the quality management system. Of course, people at the top are responsible for that. And accountability include monitoring. They have to monitor quality outcome and addressing any deficiencies, any problem. Also, we need to have clear organizational structure. Who report to who? The firm must establish structures that define roles and responsibility clearly, establish appropriate level of authority, who can make a decision, who cannot make a decision, and provide clear reporting lines and of course open communication. And why this matters? Without defined responsibilities, without specific responsibilities, we don't have consistent quality. Because if you don't know who you're reporting to, what if two different people are asking for two different things? You're going to do two different things in two different engagement. So an effective structure would ensure quality oversight across all engagements. For example, a firm designate a quality partner responsible for independence, compliance, and monitoring activities with direct reporting to the managing partner. Great. You have You have a problem with quality, there's a quality control partner responsible for independence and compliance. You go there and they will monitor this, and this individual report directly to the managing partner. So we have a clear line of communication here.